19-8. Not the easiest of games to find winners in Thursday night football between the Broncos and Chiefs, but we have a juicy board on the Week 6 Underdog Fantasy Pick'em board. We're here to find some winners for those. These are our winners for Week 6 on the Player Profiler Pick'em Power Hour, starting now. Welcome back to the Player Profiler Pick'em Power Hour. We are your hosts, Ahaan, Rungta, and Trevor Tipton, coming off a 19-8 game for Broncos Chiefs. This is the bonus show where we're here to talk about Sunday, but before that, hand up, it was never Russell Wilson completions. That was on me.
For the record, that's twice Denver has ruined you this season so far. I would avoid Denver now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big avoid a certain team guy, but Denver's getting me to the
they're close to making the list.
Yeah, I mean, I know some Broncos fans. If some Broncos fans are watching, I've probably talked with you about it. I don't know if teams intentionally tank, but the Broncos certainly look like it last night. I mean, you're down for 4 quarters all game long, and you don't pass the ball. Kind of fits in with the whole not playing Marvin Mims thing. So, yeah, Broncos not interested for a while.
I can't understand why they're not using Mims. Like, I think, I made a joke to somebody yesterday. I'm like, did he bang one of, the coach's girlfriends or wives or something? Like, you have to start thinking something weird's going on. You know, they say they're shopping Judy. So I get maybe, hey, they want to, show Judy doing his wind sprints like he was doing all game. But, I mean, that's all he did. Judy just ran wind sprints all day. That was just ugly game from the Denver side. KC still continues to struggle in the red zone. Imagine if they had Tyreek Hill on that team. Oh, wait, they did. Yeah. So, Kelsey, dominant game. We had to see Taylor Swift less than I expected. I would have taken over more of those. I get why the NFL is pumping it. It's a whole demographic that's really probably never been touched. So I get it. It's I don't care as long as Kelsey keeps scoring me fantasy points. That's all I care about.
I feel like you came into how in baseball certain hitters like Javier Baez decide they're going to swing at a pitch before it's thrown. I feel like you made up your mind that you were gonna bring up the Taylor Swift stuff today, no matter what. But
yeah, listen, to give people a relevance idea. I've had to read guys' tweets, crying and moaning. Let me explain it to you. She has a bigger following than basically every account, including the NFL, and every NFL player combined by double the followers. That's how she's the biggest music star in the world since Michael Jackson. It's ridiculous. So just relevant. And like I said, I don't care. But if it could get me some now, if it would translate to some Kelsey TDs, I would have been happy because we took it's just a principle. It was a 0.1 unit bet, but we're taking Kelsey 2 and 3 TDs when she's showing up to the game because he's going to have one game when he does it. And I want to hit it when he does.
Yeah, I thought the Jets would be a good spot for it, but it was far from that. Regardless, I think my biggest takeaway from the game, besides just the Broncos are tanking, was Rashee Rice. We both loved that. You were on that, and that was really nice. Rashee Rice is the only above average wide receiver on this team, and we thought that it could be the case going into the season. I was a believer in Sky Moore 6 weeks in, not anymore. But if the Chiefs don't pick up the phone, call some teams asking for a wide receiver with now Justin Watson, their only real vertical threat, out for a few weeks, I'd be very surprised. They're trying to win rings now. Presumably just Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. They're not happy per se with that. And it ties back into what you said about they're not efficient in the red zone. And if you look at who they have in the team, I can see why.
I think we just talked about a receiver that's on the block. Now, do I think Denver will trade them within division? Probably not, right? They're probably going to try to not send them. But, hey, if they make a good enough offer, and they are – Denver looks like what I expected the Cardinals to look like tanking. It's almost like they switched. That's generally how I feel watching them right now. It's also surprising to me was They couldn't run more on Denver's porous, tissue paper thin run D. I thought they'd be able to run a little bit better. I was surprised they couldn't there.
Yeah, I agree. Broncos defense being like absurdly bad this season was not on my bingo card, but it is what it is. It's why we make adjustments, and it's why we have 18 plus weeks, with the playoffs, 18 plus weeks to make some money, and that's the goal today. And so we're going to dive right into this Sunday slate. And I'll let you kick it off with, you're sticking with the theme of the 49ers. They're a cash machine. I don't see why you would shy away until they stop making you money. So I'll let you kick it off.
There is, one of your plays today is the same way, right? And until they adjust that number massively, I'm just going to keep going after it. We have a matchup in which, right, like Cleveland's run D is the opposite of the defense of the Denver Broncos. They're very good at stopping the run. They're one of the top, I would argue, 3 or 4 defenses in the NFL at stopping the run, and the stats say so. Now, will the Niners still run the ball? Yes, but you've seen Shandy has said he does not care. Like, where the plays come from, what they do, all they want to do is beat matchups. Well, where can they beat matchups this week? They're going to beat it with Brandon Aiyuk. So we have Brandon Aiyuk higher than 46.5 receiving yards. I saw this and I almost felt like it was like a trap at first. I was like, am I missing something? Like, what's going on? Like, it's so good. It actually scared me. I was getting it, man. I'll tell you about something that just happened in a second. My number keeps moving on my other play today. And we're up to 47.5. So I just logged into Underdog to make sure I can get it locked at the number. So I'm going to go through this quick because I don't want to lose these. Basically, it's very simple. He is their number one. Cleveland runs a ton of cover 3. Aiyuk torches cover 3. He's going to find the spot. He's going to find the open zone. He gets Cleveland's worst defensive back in Martin Emerson Jr., who has just gotten beat every which way but Sunday this year. Things to know about Brandon Aiyuk. He has 18 yards per route run this season while averaging 94.5 yards a game, and we could take him higher than 47.5. Like I said, when I saw it, it just didn't make sense. He leads the Niners with 21 receptions. He has 39.3% of San Francisco's receiving yards. He has a almost 80% catch rate. And my favorite one is his ADOT is 15.5. So you give me those things, he's going to get open. They're going to continue to use him every week. And where I think they're going is he's really the true one. Debo's going to see backfield rushes. They're going to keep Debo in that role. There'll be weeks like last week where it's Kittle week because of the matchup. But I think we will see pretty much every game unless the Niners get shut down. Aiyuk will be going higher a lot of times this year. So we're going Brandon Aiyuk higher than 47.5 receiving yards. This was 46.5, but we just lost a yard, and I've lost 2 yards on my next play, but I'm going to go there. So we just got the news that Jeff Wilson Jr. for sure is out. This number was 13.5. This is just simple for me. No Ahaan, no Jeff Wilson Jr. Mostert is going to get all of the work versus one of the worst defenses in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers. When Ahaan wasn't in, Mostert has had a ton of air work. He has 17 targets, even with Ahaan playing. He has 128 yards through the air. He's averaging 25.5 yards a game receiving, and PlayerProfiler models him for around 6 to 8 targets this week. So if we get those targets, you hear me say it every week, I want a guy that could break this type of line in one catch. One catch and he's gone. I think this is an egregiously low number, and we're going to go attack this terrible Carolina team when that is all he has for the week.
I like it. And And I'll let you lock that in right now.
Yeah, that's literally
so
what I'm doing. I'm locking it in as we speak.
So we're live here on the show at 4:43 p.m. Eastern time on Friday during the bonus show. We're getting this line, which is Brandon Aiyuk higher than 47.5 receiving yards and Raheem Mostert higher than 15.5 receiving yards. We do have articles for these plays in case you do miss part of the show and want to read about why we attack these plays. And those come out Saturday morning, but you don't want to be waiting till Saturday morning for our articles to come out, because those projections are the projections we take on these tickets that we give out live are as of Friday, and they may move. And we also have had some picks come out this morning on the Underdog Pick Generator. If you want early leans for the Sunday slate, that's where you go, the Underdog Pick Generator. And when they're up, we notify the Discord. So you want to also be in the Discord so you get notified and get on some of these numbers, which is also why I want to bring up some of the Underdog promos that are going on the screen right now. Underdog this year is running $100K Sundays, which is basically, there's a yellow square at the top of the board, and if you make an entry with that yellow square in that entry, you are entered into a lottery for thousands of dollars of cash money, and you don't even have to win that pick to be entered into the lottery. Everybody who uses that pick gets entered into the lottery. I know, Trevor, you have Chris Olave on the board. I personally have Garrett Wilson, and I still have to figure out what I want to pair it with. The other promo is Spooky Season. Looks like they're going to be doing this the next couple of weeks. Don't quote me on that, but they're doing it in October, where only available today, it says you have a Terry McLaurin square. And I believe this one is universal for everybody. So if you're watching on Friday, you have a few hours to get in something with the Terry McLaurin square. I personally, since I'm only limited to $10 on the Spooky Season entry, I'm going to put a bunch of my leans from the Underdog Pick Generator, ones that I submitted, and I'm going to put them in with Terry McLaurin, and I'm going to play it that way. And if you want to know which picks are on the Underdog Pick Generator, well, go ahead, get in the DFS Dominator, get that package so that you can get some of those picks. And the 4 picks that I'm not going to be using on this show that I suggested for the Underdog Pick Generator, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing with my Terry McLaurin square.
I like it. It's I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use that one because I'm limited to the $10, but I'm going to use our generator and make a play here. So I like where you're going this week. It's interesting that in different parts of the country we're seeing different players. So so you got Garrett Wilson, I got Olave. I'd be curious if the West Coast has a different one as well.
Yeah, we had a commenter on the stream last week talk about they were in Texas and they had CD Lamb, which is interesting. So it's some for some it looks like location, but some it looks like not. But maybe it's random. Who knows? But regardless, Underdog is doing all these promos all year long, and it's a super cool way to sprinkle on some five pick flexes. Right, we mostly stick to the 2 pick to the 3 picks during these shows. Try to keep it as safe as possible. So that we could just somewhat get in a rhythm soon. Hopefully, start building the bankroll. But if you want to partake in these 5 pick flexes, it's probably best to use the promo since they're giving you a free edge, right? You want to enter these lotteries. But before we get into my picks for the week, and hopefully this time I find 2 winners on the show at the same time, because I'm sick of leaving all my winners for the Underdog Pick Generator and not for the show. So hopefully I'll come up with 2 winners. But before that, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor.
It has been 2 years since Josh Larkey paved the way for fantasy gamers to start expecting positive returns from pick'em games, specifically Underdog pick'ems. And how do you do it? Well, you look at a slate and you find a great shootout or a sneaky shootout. You also look for a shit show game. 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in one game. That's right. You can do it. You can do it. And you can 100x your payout on Underdog. Think about week 1. Jets-Bills was a shit show. Did we see the Aaron Rodgers injury coming? No, but we knew the Jets have a good defense. We knew the Bills have a good defense. Why not expect the worst? And the worst is what we got. So if you had gone Dalvin Cook less than, Garrett Wilson less than, Aaron Rodgers less than, Josh Allen less than, Gabriel Davis less than, boom, 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 you can go 6 for 6. Same thing in week 2. Oh, week 2. Oh, sneaky shootout there in Philadelphia. Minnesota's going to be in comeback mode, so we'll go Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, more than. Madison, less than. But also, Swift, more than. Boom, 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 boom. That's how you do it with the Underdog Pick'ems, and you use promo code UNDERWORLD to get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You put in $100, Underdog matches that deposit up to $100 with promo code UNDERWORLD. Go start picking.
We're back on the Player Profiler Pick and Power Hour, the bonus show on Friday for Week 6. We just talked about some Underdog promos, some boosters, and this week, or just today, it's Scary Terry McLaurin, total yards. Go get an entry with that Go get an entry with that in for Week 6. We have Chef TPDB saying in the comments, is showing Scary Terry. That's the universal booster play, and Pittman, and then Devontae Adams for the 100K Sunday special. So that's going to vary from viewer to viewer. Go get in some entries, and if you want to tail our picks, again, go ahead, get in on the Underdog pick generator on the DFS Dominator for some picks. I am going to now give out two picks, and if you've been following the show all season long, I'm the king of 1 out of 2 on the show. I've been pairing a winner with the loser, but it changes this week. I found 2 players that I have the most conviction in from my picks from the Underdog pick generator. And it happens to be that both are also juiced on the sports books. Now, if you want to go bet on the sports books, check out the Juice run by Memphis Young Friday evening. So if you're watching, live on the show in a few hours at night today, after you have dinner, get your walk in, come back and watch the Juice with Memphis Young to talk about sports books plays. But we're here for pick'ems, and you want to find plays that Vegas thinks has a good chance of hitting. It's better as a pick and value to buy something in the long run that's a minus 135 than a plus 100 even money, right? So I'm starting with one of those, and I'm heading to the London game, and I'm going a guy that both of us have targeted all season long, Zay Flowers. So this is another case, like you mentioned with Aiyuk. It's another case of they haven't been adjusting the line, so I'm going to keep pushing the button until otherwise. And in Week 6, it just happens to be a perfect matchup. And it's in a sense prime time here, right? So Zay Flowers, talk about usage first of all. There's 22 wide receivers in the NFL with 100% route participation in each of the first 5 weeks. Zay Flowers is one of them. He also has 10 plus targets in 3 out of 5 games. And yes, the ADOT is low, but he has the ability to make the explosive play. The ADOT has varied game to game. The air yards have varied game to game, regardless of whether Mark Andrews is a full go or Odell is a full go. This week, all of them are a full go, but it seems like we're getting way too much of a discount here against the matchup, which is the Tennessee Titans. So last week, we go after Michael Pittman against the Tennessee matchup. He hooks us by a few yards. I'm not going to let that disturb me because, one, Josh Downs stole the show with almost a 100-yard game, so it's not like Tennessee was stopping the pass completely. And 2, there was a change of quarterback in the middle of that game, which kind of disrupted the flow of that passing offense. I'm going back to this Tennessee matchup. Tennessee is a pass funnel defense. Here are some of the top pass catchers versus Tennessee so far. Week 1, Chris Olave 8-1-12, and Rashid Shaheed 589, and Michael Thomas 561. Week 2, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams coexist. 8 catches each, 111 yards, 83 yards. Week 3, the Browns, Elijah Moore and Donovan Peoples-Jones have decent games, and still Amari Cooper goes 7-116. Week 4, Jamar Chase goes 773. And Week 5, like we mentioned, Josh Downs and Michael Pittman combined for 150 yards. So now I'm going with Zay Flowers higher than 56.5 receiving yards. The usage is there, and the matchup is going to be there. This is a play that I could only really see losing if the Ravens are somehow involved in a blowout and they just run the ball the entire second half. But also, Tennessee's run defense is good. If you look at how much of the offense they've given up, that's the pass. It's 72% of their yards given up is through the pass. So if Baltimore blows out Tennessee, you would assume it's because their passing game connected on all cylinders, and Zay Flowers was a big part of that. So there's a lot of routes where we can get higher than 56.5 receiving yards.
I like it. I'm on Zay. I'm all over him this week. It's again until they move this, I'm going to keep playing it. This was the same as Aiyuk for me. Like I actually have this as a prop bet that I already made through one of our partners, Bet Openly, and it's one of those that you look at it and I try to find ways that it won't hit, and I think it will. I'm also excited for your next play because I'm already using it in a couple small 3 plays I have going here on Underdog. So I think it's one of the best spots of the week.
And speaking of which, we have Daniel in the chat saying, with Jalen Carter and Darius Slay out, I wonder about the Jets-Eagles. This might be the greatest segue by a commenter on our videos in Player Profiler YouTube history, because I'm going with Jake Elliott. If my laptop will unjam. There we go. Jake Elliott, higher than 1.5 field goals made. So the kicker props have been money for me over the last couple of years. And this is a spot that I targeted last week and the week before and the week before that. It's a kicker against the New York Jets. So you look at what the Jets have done defensively this year. Obviously, a highly touted defense coming into the season with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, etc. But they have been a tale of the midfield versus the red zone this year, essentially. Is they've been a porous defense until teams get to the red zone. They get to the red zone, and then they just stand. It's just what they do. They step up, they nut up, and then they stop teams. Yes, it's the Eagles, but like Daniel mentioned in chat, Darius Slay and Jalen Carter are out. So maybe it's a more competitive game. Regardless of game script, though, kickers versus the New York Jets have just been a cheat code. So Tyler Bass goes 3 for 3 from field goal range. Brandon Aubrey goes 5 for 5. Chad Ryland goes 2 for 4. Harrison Butker, 3 for 3. And Will Lutz, 2 for 2. So that's every single kicker has attempted at least 2 field goals, made at least 2 field goals, and in many cases attempting 4 or 5. Now the Eagles, what's the one worry with them is they go for it a lot, right? But the Eagles have gone for it on 4th down 8 times already. Only 5 teams have gone for it more, and most of those just out of necessity and not against the Jets, right? So the Eagles have gone for it already a large number of times, which is what we expected from them, and still Jake Elliott has attempted at least 3 field goals in every game so far. This offense is good. They're going to visit the red zone often, but the Jets is a perfect spot for Jake Elliott to continue the streak of at least 2 field goals made. They trust him, even if it's a little windy. They trust him, anywhere inside the 50, really. And this is minus 135 on the sportsbook. So another juiced prop that we're getting is Pick'em. And that's what I'm going with. I'm going to lock it now. Jake Elliott higher than 1.5 field goals made. Zay Flowers in London higher than 56.5 receiving yards. And I'm hoping this time that's a 2-pick winner.
Philly has actually struggled within the red zone. Everybody made a big deal about Jason Kelce, getting into it on the sidelines with everybody, why he was so animated. It actually talked about it on their podcast this week, and he's like, I'm pissed off about how we're playing in the red zone. He's like, they were breaking down about what they did and how bad a job they've done there. Fortunately, they have a great kicker in Elliott, and I think this is again a great spot to tee up there. I'll be interested to see how this game goes if all this comes to fruition. But great spot to attack for me.
Yeah, and until they give us like you said, until they give us this these 2 dream matchups, which is pass catchers against the Tennessee Titans and kickers against the New York Jets, which is a weird sentence to say, but those are 2 of your best matchup spots so far this year. Until I see differently, I'm going to click those buttons and kind of go first instinct with this one, right? I've been getting cute with some of these plays that I'm giving out on the show. I'm finding winners, putting it on the Underdog pick generator. I go to sleep the next morning. It's Friday, and I'm picking the wrong ones to give out on the show. So hopefully these are 2 winners. Once again, Zay Flowers higher than 56.5 receiving yards. Jake Elliott of the Eagles higher than 1.5 field goals made. Trevor, remind everybody your entry again.
All right, so we are going with Brandon Aiyuk over 47.5 receiving yards, and pairing that with Mr. Raheem Mostert of the Dolphins over 15.5 receiving yards. I get it. He's also going to run, but that's just such a low number. We had it. It was at 13.5 before the show. It's moving up. I actually think it'll close 17, 18. We got the Jeff Wilson news that he's out. So I think there's some big upside there. And then I want to give the folks a spicy one we're going to have in the pick generator that I just love the matchup this week, and everybody is against it. So that's why I like it even more. I'm a fade the public kind of guy. But if you're using Underdog, you'll see they have a lot of spicy picks now for sacks, touchdowns, things that are plus money that haven't really ever made sense to use in a pick 'em. Because as Ahaan explained, we're looking for things of value. But this week, we know there's no Tank Dell with Houston. They're going to have to throw the ball. Stroud has been awesome, and Nico Collins has been his number one. So if you're a member and you have the DFS package with Player Profiler, you'll see this in the Dominator, but we're going to go with a Nico Collins spicy TD. It's 2x. 2x. When you tell me that Tank's out, I'm going for it. I'm going to use that in a play. I think I'm going to use that with my one of my other plays that I can pair it up with that's in there and see if we can get some spicy love from Underdog this week.
Spicy love is kind of a crazy phrase, but I do love to play Nico Collins. Nico Collins, one of those guys that I think I mentioned this before, that I was a big believer in Nico Collins, and the exact minute I stopped, hyping up the Nico Collins train, CJ Stroud comes into town and says all is good. He had 158 air yards, 80 receiving yards in week 1, then 112 air yards, 146 receiving yards in week 2 with a touchdown. Had 2 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, one of them in the red zone and one of them just a bomb. So he's getting all kinds of action, and now against a tough Saints defense, the reason you're getting the 2x, even though he's clearly the guy, is because it's against that tough Saints defense. So it's kind of like a buy low spot if you think about it, because he's going to have to line up against Marshawn Lattimore. But Marshawn Lattimore, good cornerback, but he's not invincible when it comes to giving up touchdowns, right? So go look at PlayerProfiler.com and look at Marshawn Lattimore's game logs. And over the last couple of seasons, he has given up some touchdowns. So I really like the Nico Collins pick at the 2x price that we're getting. We have a second touchdown pick as well. I would. It's just irresponsible for me to not say it. So we put 2 spicy boosts on the pick generator. The other one this week, I really like Calvin Ridley. So in week 1, it was Calvin Ridley's return to the NFL, and for some reason, people were doubting that Calvin Ridley was still good at football, even though he just got a year's rest. So he welcomes everybody with a 101 receiving yard game with 11 targets, 2 in the red zone, 8 receptions, 1 touchdown. Now, I don't love going back to the same player when they're facing the same defense, a few weeks later, which is why I like the receiving yards, but the number has been bumped up now. If you got it in early on the DFS Dominator, actually, never mind. We didn't have the receiving yards. I pivoted to the touchdown because the red zone usage is going to be there. Zay Jones, one of the biggest red zone targets for Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence's career is now out. So who is he going to go to if they do pass the ball against that horrible Colts secondary? It's going to be Calvin Ridley. He has 5 red zone targets already, coming off a 124-yard game in London. So if they get to the red zone, really like Calvin Ridley, and we're getting the 1.25x payout there. So those are 2 spicy boosts if y'all want to put them in something maybe together, wink, wink. But other than that, we're going to have some picks that go out in the Discord over the next few days. It is Friday, so we got all of tonight to lab. We got Saturday, and we got a little bit of time Sunday morning as well to lab. And, of course, there's prime time on Sunday night, prime time on Monday night, even though that game probably shouldn't be prime time. But we're going to have, more entries come out for free in the Player Profiler Discord, so join that. We also have picks on the DFS Dominator for the Player Profiler Pick'em Power Hour. But other than that, we just gave out, hopefully, 2 winners, 2 pick entries. And we will see you next week for the main episode for Week 7 on Wednesday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. For Week 7, hopefully after a 4-0 card.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.